All right, come on, Zoe.
All right, baby girl, we're here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm in a woodland. After my last camp in the mountains with the crazy weather, I was looking for just a really relaxing camp. This will actually be Zoe's first hot tent camp, so I'm pretty excited for her. I have a really big hot tent I'm going to set up behind me here, and then we do need to process a tiny bit of wood, but I've done actually a bit of that earlier, a few days ago, so it shouldn't be too bad. So we're going to get the tent set up, get the stove up. Should be a good trip. Let's get started.
He's a good girl, Zoe.
It'll be done in a second.
This is gonna be cool.
Almost done. We're almost done. Not that I need it, but it actually has a snow skirt. I'm just gonna go ahead, kind of tuck under.
Well, that was incredibly easy to set up. I don't even have a guide out yet, but look at how taut that is.
Not bad.
And I could get it better if I pull these, but I'm just going to probably leave it because this is
Just the door, and I'm not gonna be anywhere near it.
I wonder if One Tigris has the same manufacturer as Nortent, because I'm seeing a lot of similarities with the poles, the tie outs, everything. It's kind of interesting.
Get this out of the way.
Oh my god, this thing is huge. I can stand up in it. I'm touching a little bit. I do have it a little lower than it should be because this is I'm kind of on a tiny little hill here, but not too shabby. Tons of head height in here. This thing is an absolute palace. Super excited for this camp. Let's go ahead and get it guyed out a bit more to pull the sides out, and then we'll start setting up inside.
possible. It's nice to use trees to tie your guy lines because it's a little bit tauter than if you were to pitch it on the ground like this. Almost done, baby. A nice stove jack. It's got a nice overhang and a flap which will keep rain from running down the stovepipe, which isn't usually a problem, but a nice feature to have. And it's pre-cut. Hopefully it'll fit my stovepipe. If not, I'll just make it a little bit larger. Oh, I forgot to actually install something underneath. Forgot to add this. This actually keeps the chimney from getting blocked when you put in wood, which is kind of a nice addition to some of their newer stoves that Pomali makes. So that way when I shove in wood, it doesn't risk actually blocking this and then smoking out the stove, which is kind of cool. Put that back on now. One of the reasons why I like to bring a Leatherman as my secondary smaller knife on camps like this is because sometimes, you know, if one of these happens to get too tight or if any of the metal bends, I like to have a multi-tool in order to fix the stove on the fly if I need to. All right, here it is, all done. Got the stove in. Take a look at how gargantuan the space is inside of here. It is massive. So this is the Ash Canopy by One Tigress, and it's actually meant to be a hot tent for hammocks. If you see up there at the top, you can actually run your hammock in the middle here, and you just hang it on the same trees that you use to hang the tarp. Basically, it's just a giant tarp. And because of this pole, it gives a lot more rigidity, which is really awesome. And you can see there's enough space in here to easily fit 4 people if you wanted to. You could lay this way, this way, this way, and one here and have maybe a table in the middle. So I'm actually not going to be using it as a hammock hot tent tonight. So what I'm going to do is actually create a wet and dry area. I brought a tarp. I'm going to make that area a nice dry area. And I've brought a ton of comfort items on this trip. So I'm going to use a tarp and then a wool blanket to make that a really nice space for Zoe and I. This other side of the hot tent, I'm actually going to, I brought a chair and I'm going to put a chair there and all the wood, so I'll have plenty of room. So I'll have a dry area and a wet area. Should be a super cozy camp. So let's go ahead and get the inside of the tent set up and start getting cozy. You ready, Zoe? You were such a patient girl. Good job, Zoe. You ready to get inside? Yeah, let's get it set up. Gosh, the amount of space in this thing, this is really cool. I'm pretty impressed so far. It's not light, it's actually quite heavy, but it's actually big for its weight in space, which is kind of nice. I have a big wool blanket I'm going to use to create a nice warm soft surface for Zoe and I. Something I wouldn't normally take, but this camp's all about comfort. And a nice wool blanket is super comfy. Wool's also flame retardant, so I'm going to put the wool closer to this area if I want to lay by this stove later. I never have any embers fall out, but if one did, it won't melt the tarp. All right, well there you go. It doesn't get much comfier than that. Nice and soft, warm. This is gonna be awesome. So excited for this camp. I'm just gonna pull the tarp back a tiny bit. Zoe, where are you? Come on, baby. Go look, isn't it nice? You like it in here? Come here, let me wipe your paws off. Don't get our thing all dirty. Enjoy it outside? Oh, good girl. Oh, your feet are so dirty. Yeah? Yeah? You like it? This is going to be such a fun camp. It's really nice I got to actually take Zoe with me. I did a hot tent camp earlier in the season, in the autumn months, but that hot tent was huge for one person, but just a little too small for Zoe and I, because her tail is constantly knocking glasses off our coffee table and all kinds of stuff. So I wanted a space big enough that she could be completely clear of the stove so her tail doesn't happen to accidentally smack it or anything like that. You like it? Good girl. Get a little more settled, and then I need to go ahead and get the wood for the stove. Such a good girl. Get my chair out. So those of you who have been watching the channel for a while could probably count on one hand how many times you've seen me use a chair in a video. I only use it for this style of camping, or if I'm camping with someone, which I don't film those trips usually, because this is about maximum relaxation. I did bring a chair with me. I used the Helinox Chair Zero. I have a few others from REI. That's actually a really good one too. But this is the one I typically reach for most often, just because it's about a pound and it's a relatively small pack size. So we got a nice loud plane flying overhead. Yeah, I know. I bet you wish you had a chair too. She's always getting on the couch with us. She's probably just going to try to get in this chair on top of me at some point tonight, guaranteed. Isn't that right? So as I mentioned in my post, I actually came to this spot to kind of just look around to get an idea of which trees I could pitch this tent in. I came here about 3 or 4 days ago, and I brought my saw, made myself a nice coffee, and chopped up some firewood. That way I wouldn't have to do as much when I got here and I could just relax. So I stashed that firewood in a garbage bag to keep it dry because it has been raining since the day I had came. I'm gonna go find where I put that, get the wood, and bring it back to the tent. And then I'll probably only need to process some smaller stuff just to get the fire started. But the bulk of the stuff I cut a few days ago were all the big rounds that I'm gonna use for the bulk of the evening. Be back in 1 sec. All right, let's go find where I stashed that wood. So actually, there's a piece that I was cutting the previous day, I actually made a coffee right here. I'll put some B-roll of that, but I got a ton of wood that day, so I'm really not gonna have to cut much wood. I've also set the hot tent up next to a couple little patches. I'm not sure if you can see it in the distance, but there's some birch trees over there, and there's a little patch of birch trees over there. So that's what I'll use as a fire starter. And then there are tons of small branches everywhere. Probably need to do just a little bit of sawing just to get enough wood to get the fire started, but all those big rounds should be where I stash them. So let's go find them. If I'm not mistaken, all these downed trees over here, I just put it right behind that in a bag. Hopefully it stayed dry, because like I said, this is four days ago, and there it is. Nice. All right, perfect. It's still dry, a little damp, but pretty dry. So I have an entire bag of wood. This will be my big stuff. Really love the color of this thing too. Some of this wood is a little damp, so some water must have gotten in the bag, but for the most part, I think it should be fine. So I'll just put the damper pieces, like I always do, right next to the stove, and they'll just dry out. Alright, got some decent rounds. I will need to chop some of these up with the axe, but now I just need to get the smaller stuff. I'm going to finish getting a few more rounds from this guy, and then maybe find a drier bit of birch and cut that up as well. Even though it's been raining, you can always find dry kindling. Alright, I think I've got enough small kindling and kind of medium size, and then the larger rounds. I still need to chop the larger rounds with the axe, but I'm going to go and get some birch bark, a few pieces just to get the stove lit. Then it's time to head in for the night. One of the reasons I actually chose this area is because of all the easy kindling that's right here, and these birch trees, which I can take some birch bark from, and that'll be like having basically fire starters. Alright, this should be enough. And get my shoes off, just get comfortable, and then I can go ahead and just chop the wood with the axe right here. Nice and relaxed. You okay? She's so sleepy. She was super excited. She was running around the house. She probably tired herself out before we even got out here. Yeah. You happy to be on a camp again? She's happy. It's pretty warm right now. The temperature is supposed to drop tonight, but right now it's not too cold, so I think I'll just open that vent up behind me and leave the door open by the camera. Serves as a nice little window too. Yeah, even though it was wet. Nice and dry on the inside. That's a good start. So these are all chopped. I put some of the chopped bigger pieces over there. These are kind of the smaller chopped pieces. And then I have a bunch of rounds that I'm going to keep as rounds. That way I can kind of slow down the fire and put the large rounds in later in the evening. I have all my kindling over there, which I need to go grab. But I have the kindling, I have the birch here, and then with the chopped bits, I think I should be good now. Let's get the fire started. Using a guy line to hang a line. That way I can hang lights along the ridge. I also brought my ridge light, which I'll probably use as well. So this stove is actually quite a bit bigger than my other stove and has a lot more ventilation options, including a vent in the back, which makes it a lot easier to start, which is nice. This burns more like my stove at home.
Come here, Zoe. Come here. I keep sinking into the mud. I'm going to use the stove bag as a base. Oh yeah, there we go. So relaxing. The only thing that would make it better is if it was raining. Ball. This tent has an incredible amount of space. Look at this. It's getting pretty dark out. This entire side of the tent is completely open, yet she's choosing to look out that window. What do you see, baby? What do you see? Starting to get a bit chilly, so I'm going to close one door, see how that goes, and then eventually probably close the other door as well. You ready to eat, baby? Zoe, let's get some water. Here. No, not the lid. Here. Yes. Come on, get some food. I've just been sitting here now for around an hour, hanging out by the stove. Zoe just got finished eating, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start my dinner now. Tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making something I've made before. It was probably around 2 years ago in my most watched video on YouTube. I believe that video has around 2.1 million views, so I can't believe I haven't actually put that video on my website yet. I didn't have the website at the time, but now I do, and I really want to put the recipe on there because this is actually one of my favorite things to make. So tonight I'm going to be making a gyro, or smashed pita, basically. Should be a good one. Let's get started. Just realized I actually have a bigger cutting board.
I should have brought a bigger cup to do this. I actually made this the other night with my family, so I just made one extra portion of the lamb. This lamb has parsley, garlic, soy sauce, and a variety of other seasonings. And it all gets added to the lamb and then mixed together, and then you portion it out. So this is 1/3 of a pound of minced lamb with all the other ingredients. This will now go directly on the pita and cook upside down in the pan. Super simple, really quick to make. I think last time I actually made this on the camp, everyone kept asking why I didn't pre-make the salad or the tzatziki. The tzatziki I could probably actually pre-make, but I did want to make this fresh and some of the ingredients like the cucumber and that, so I just decided to do both again here at camp. But the reason I don't make this ahead of time is after about 2 hours, this becomes really kind of mushy and watery, and it lacks the crunch and crisp of the veg that's actually in it. So I don't like to make it ahead of time. I'd rather just make it fresh. That way you get the proper texture when you're actually eating the sandwich. So you can make this ahead of time and freeze it. That's what I did. And it's just been thawing out through the day. And now it's ready to go. So it's still cold. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the pita and get it on the pan. And then I'm done. Go ahead and put together my ridge light. Just gets attached to the pump. Not bad. Wow, that produces a lot more light. And I can actually dim it too, which is kind of cool. Alright, this should be done. Alright guys, there it is, my smashed pita. Highly recommend this one. Oh my god. You absolutely have to make this. I've seen some people make something similar with beef. You gotta use lamb. It's so good. I'll put the recipe to this on my website at goingsolooutdoors.com and you can try it yourself. It's a bit messy, but man, is it good. Alright, I'm going to tuck into this. I'll catch you guys in a bit. Dinner's done. Zoe and I just got back in from a walk. I think she's actually afraid of the dark. She looks really timid to go pee, and then she wants to get back in the tent as soon as possible. So we're just sitting here relaxing in this house. This thing's so big, it's like a cabin. Really, really enjoying this. Doing pretty good on the wood. I got just enough, I think, for tonight and tomorrow morning. I love how efficient this stove is. It burns more like my wood stove at home. It's so nice. You can put in big pieces, the same size I would put in at home, and just damper it down, and it really purrs along nicely. I really like these stoves that are a bit taller instead of just the kind of equal dimensions square box. You see, let's take this off you. Get a bit more comfortable. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and sleep closer to the wood stove and let Zoe have this space just so I can kind of keep her away from it. That wasn't bad. Alright, bed's all set up. I'm going to lay here, give Zoe some love, hang out next to the fire, and probably just read my book for a bit. It is only 7:38, so it's pretty early still, so I'm just going to relax. Oh, I do have some whiskey. My wife actually got me some fancy Japanese whiskey for Christmas. Just going to have a little bit of this, read my book, and listen to the fire. Should be a relaxing evening. I'll get back with you guys in a bit. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. Although it's been raining almost daily. It's gonna make for an even cozier evening though. Oh, this is nice. Cheers, guys. Oh, that's good. After my last camp in the mountains where I had that crazy weather, I'll link it up here if you haven't seen that video. I was really looking for a camp just like this. Sitting next to a fire, in a chair, listening to the rain, the crackle of the fire, a nice drink. Really, really nice camp. I've been looking forward to this one. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the last camp. Those are definitely the kind of camps you remember. And my plan worked for the most part. I was sheltered from the wind the majority of the night. It was just when they shifted, it got a bit crazy. But my tent did its job, and it ended up being definitely a very memorable camp. Didn't anticipate the surge in water levels, though, which ended up being a little bit sketchy coming down the mountain, but overall, fantastic camp. But I was really excited for a camp like this. It's nice having Zoe with me as well. This is her first time camping in a woodland. It's also her first time hot tent camping. Happy for her. She's just relaxing. She's just completely passed out over there. It's going to be a really relaxing evening. Super excited for it. Hopefully everyone had a good holiday season and is having a happy new year so far. I took a nice big long break from social media. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks, which was kind of nice. Just traveled a bit with my family. We had a really nice trip. But it is good to be back in winter. It's not as cold as I would like. It would be much better if there was snow on the ground right now, but I missed that actually when we were gone. It snowed when we were away, and when we got back there was a little bit of snow left, but I missed the majority of it. So I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks it'll snow again. I'm really looking forward to doing a snow camp in the mountains, so I'm going to keep my eye out for some snow. But it's nice to have camps like this sometimes. I don't do this style of camp often, where I bring everything but the kitchen sink. Really enjoying this tent as well. This thing is massive. It is a bit heavy, but for the weight, this is by far the biggest hot tent I now own. But it's lighter than my dome hot tent that I have, which is also massive. I wouldn't take this in a storm like I would my other X-Dome 4 Pomali hot tent, but in a woodland, this is absolutely perfect. This thing's like a cabin. It's amazing. It's got a snow skirt and everything, and I can put a really big stove in here, which is nice. I'll probably be using this one if I camp with other people in the winter. This would be fantastic for 2 or 3 people. Really nice tent. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and just ramble. It's only 8:07. I have at least a couple hours before I go to bed. The bed's already set up, so I'm just going to sit here and read, enjoy my drink, listen to the sound of the fire and the rain, and just enjoy myself. I'll catch you guys before I get to bed. Alright, Zoe's already gone to bed, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do the same. And I'll catch you guys in the morning. Good night. Usually I can lift my arm from bed and turn off the light, but because this thing's so tall, I actually have to get up out of bed and do it. Oh man. Good night. Morning. It is 7:11. Sunrise isn't for another hour, but 7's usually the time I get up, so I'm gonna get up and get the fire started. It's quite chilly in here. Until we get the fire going, fill my puffy. Didn't realize I don't have much birch bark left, and I don't feel like getting outside the tent to get more, so I'm just gonna knock up a few feather sticks real quick, and it should be enough to get the fire going pretty easy. Last night before bed I chopped up a bunch of really fine kindling, so it should go up pretty quick. finally starting to warm up in here. Hey Zuzu. Good morning. You get to stretch in? Oh, good girl. Oh. You have a good sleep? You have a good sleep? Okay, I gotta fix the stove. Maybe give me a second. Give me a second. What is it about this spot that you like so much? She kept coming back to this spot. I guess there's like this little dip in the ground here. You like it? Yeah. Really enjoy using this ridge light. However, it works at full brightness, but every time I try to dim it lately, it will just stay dim for a little bit and then turn off on me. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If anyone has this, it's from Haven Hammocks. It's the ridge light. If anyone has this and knows what the issue is, let me know. I'll try to do a Google search for it, but other than that, it was great last night. I just would have liked to have had it turned down a little bit more to make it a tiny bit more cozy, but when I needed to see, it lit up this entire space, which is cool. Cheers, guys. Alright, the fire's out. I'm just waiting for it to cool down a bit more. Just gonna finish packing up. And then we'll get out of here. Yeah? So cozy using a wool blanket again. At some point I should do a kind of an old school camp. Just use a wool blanket and build a shelter. That'd be kind of fun. It's basically what I did as a kid. As soon as I was done with breakfast on the weekends, I'd head out into the woods with my friends. We'd make all kinds of forts and shelters and things like that. Usually tree houses. We had a whole bunch of fun. What you doing, Zoe? Stay close. I'm just letting her kind of roam outside the tent. I haven't seen any deer this morning, but I do need to be careful because I don't know what she would do if she saw a deer. I don't think she'd do much, but just in case, I don't want to go chasing her through the woods. I'm gonna have to get her on her lead in a second. The lead I use has about 20 feet, so I can actually kind of hook it to something and let her have about 20 feet radius to walk around. That's what I typically do when I'm not paying attention to her. So she should be on it now, so I should probably go do that. I know, I'm sorry. Just while I finish packing, since I'm not paying attention to you, okay? I often get asked a lot of questions about this bag. This is the Fjallraven Keb. This is the 72 liter. This was actually the first one I got, actually when I moved to the UK, so many years ago when it first came out. And since then, a couple years ago, I actually bought the 52 liter version of this pack because I loved it so much. And that's kind of become one of my main packs when I'm hiking in the mountains. That or either the Abisko Freeloo 45 liter, which is discontinued, at least the version of it that I have. But that's still probably my favorite pack of all time. But the Keb 52 version of this has definitely kind of taken its spot. It's just so comfortable. But this 72 liter version just swallows gear. This is typically what I use when I'm camping with my kids because I can carry both of our stuff in it easily, or when I'm doing a hot tent camp like this. All right, time to get the stove. One of the things I love about these titanium stoves is how quickly they cool. So you can have a fire in the morning and you don't have to worry about it taking forever to cool down, which is really great. A time saver. My old stove, I wouldn't even heat it up in the morning because I didn't want to wait for it to cool down. Whereas this one, I can actually have my morning coffee with it. Such a cool design. It weighs only about 5 pounds. And look at how small. It's so cool. What are you eating, Zozo? All right, leave no traces always. This is where I was last night. You can see the rectangle. The dry area is where I had the stove. The wet area is where I had the tarp and slept. Really nice spot. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it here just because I don't have a very far walk at all to get back to the car. So Zoe, you wanna say goodbye? Say bye-bye, Zoe. I think she's ready to get back. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. For my next camp, I'm really hoping I get a snow camp in the mountains. We'll see. But until then, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Please like, share, get outside. Later.
You ready to go, Zoe?